behave like a normal corporate. And it's really been fantastic to work with them. So welcome, Ulrich. Welcome, Vanessa. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time today. I sincerely appreciate it, and so do the rest of our leaders as well.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Sherry, and thank you for the kind words. It's just me on the call. Vanessa is busy with another matter in the High Court, but that's fine. You know, our relationship with you goes back quite some time, as you are aware, and I'm not sure if other leaders are aware, and we've always believed in the MTI strategy and in the way that you do business. And, you know, we want to see not only the business, but especially all the members and all the leaders that are on this call do well. And I think that is the basis of all the negative attention that MTI is actually getting from the FSCA, is that they simply cannot fathom how a business can get such good returns for their members. And yes, I mean, we've pointed that out to them, that is why they are attempting to muzzle you, for lack of a better word, but we are fighting a good fight for you. I think, Cherie, maybe we should kick off with the questions that you posed to me, or do you want to ask the questions and we can give clarity on that?
No, that's great. In fact, I think these are questions that have been on the lips of many of our leaders, and being in touch with our leadership, I get these all the time, and I'm very, very happy that you're willing to even go there. So thank you. What is your take on NTI's current position in the regulatory framework currently as it stands in South Africa?
Well, as you pointed out previously, the waters are muddied in South Africa when it comes to trading in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. The current regulatory position of cryptocurrency still remains questionable, not only amongst laymen, but also amongst the legislature, people who draft the legislation, as well as the lawmakers and the people who need to apply the laws. There's recently been talk about regularizing the cryptocurrency industry in South Africa. And this is obviously something which we have, together with MTI and with the leaders of MTI, that we've indicated to the FSCA that we would welcome tremendously, and we are open to that. As you know, we've also advised you that once these regulations are brought into effect, if that is going to happen, that you know, we should take the necessary steps to ensure that we comply with the rules and regulations, and to get MTI on the front foot, and hopefully get the FSCA off our backs.
And so, if I understand you correctly, where we stand right now is that there are no clear regulations for companies that function like MTI does.
None whatsoever. So the regulatory body in South Africa, which regulates financial institutions and institutions who invest funds and money on behalf of clients, is the FSCA. And the FSCA is a very conservative and strict regulatory body. They insist on being informed at all times about all of the personal information of people who invest with companies, as well as having inside knowledge of all investments and all returns. And obviously that is something that we are saying in the cryptocurrency world is not possible. And you know, that is why we have sat with them, and Cherie and Johan and some of the other members have been present, where we've sat with them and we've tried to explain to them how they can go about to try and get a grasp on cryptocurrency. We are not advocating that they become a policeman and a watchdog, but so that they understand the industry better, and then they would welcome, you know, the returns that, for instance, MTI is getting for their clients. So we still offer all of our assistance to them, and it's still an open door policy from us as well as MTI to sit around the table and to try and for the FSCA to get a grasp on cryptocurrency and trading in cryptocurrency. But as of today and at this point in time, unfortunately, it seems as if they have no clue, to be honest, and they have no clue how to regularize it as well. So it is still very much in development, and we'll have to wait and see if they do come up with proper regulations in order to regulate the industry.
Obviously, you've touched now on this issue of the FSCA, and what do you think? what do you think has been the intention? And I mean, I know that this is your personal opinion. I happen to share these sentiments with you. What do you think has the actions that they've taken against MTI? What has been the driving force, besides obviously frustration that they can't regulate us? What do you see being the driving force behind what they've done? Press releases, the search and seizure warrants.
Yes. Yes, well, from the outset, I must say that the actions taken by the FSC have been unfortunate, to say the least. We have been, together with you, communicating with them and providing them with all of the information that they've wanted over the since the beginning of the year. And we have met with them, and we have sent them extensive correspondence, and yet they saw it fit to approach the court behind our backs and on an ex parte basis and get a warrant to try and obtain information, that they are, for all intents and purposes, already in possession of. So to sum it up, I think that the reason for these actions is simply that they cannot fathom how people can get such a good return on their investments, because, as I've said before, it is a conservative regulatory body. They are not open to new ideas. They are not open to people getting good returns. And for them, unfortunately, it's a question of, if it seems too good to be true, then it is too good to be true. And that is, as I've said earlier, my firm belief is that the only reason for that is that they don't understand the industry and they don't understand the MTI platform. So in short, I think, unfortunately, Cherie, that is exactly the answer, because of their lack of knowledge of cryptocurrency and their simple disbelief of the good returns that MTI is getting for their members. They have taken these steps, believing that there's going to be some, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that they're going to get their hands on. And unfortunately for them, all of the information that they took possession of by using that search warrant has already been in their possession. So, one would have to wait and see what they do with it. But yeah, I think that is the main driving force behind their actions.
Yeah, it's to create this picture that they could close MTI down and create fear in our members' minds, which some people latch onto, and then this spreads like wildfire because of the nature of the business. And I think as leaders, it's important that we know that that is exactly what the intention is to create that doubt. And when you play into that, we rob our members of the opportunity that is MTI. So again, I don't want to take too much of your time. So just quickly wanted to ask, legally, what can the FSCA do to shut down MTI's operations? I mean, we've had this conversation to death, but I think it's good for people to hear this from you.
Yeah, so at this point in time, it is impossible for the FSCA to summarily close MTI. They would have to follow proper due processes. They would have to make out a proper case in our High Court to point out alleged contraventions of acts and seek a court order to close the business. And I think that it would be very difficult for them to do that. Firstly, they approached the court on an ex parte basis, and the only reason why they did that is that they said that if they had given us notice that they wanted their hands on this information, they wanted to get their hands on the information, then we would have hidden or not disclosed it to them. But that would not be the case. If they were to try and bring any application or launch any action against MTI, they would have to give us full knowledge of that, and we would obviously have an opportunity to defend such an action or an application. And it is definitely not something that could happen overnight. Just to add on to what I said earlier, I think one of the main driving forces as well behind the FSCA's actions is they are definitely trying to destabilize the cryptocurrency market. And the way that you do that is to create doubt in the market and to you've never seen a regulatory body seeing so many press releases as the FSCA does. And it is purely to try and cause confusion and destabilize, members who are getting great returns, and for them to start doubting those returns. So that is also a reason behind their actions. But just to put everyone's fears to bed. They cannot simply just bring an application to close MTI down. It is impossible in terms of our law to do so.
Oh, okay. So I've been saying this for weeks. It's even I feel comforted by you, actually. Just finally, we had discussed setting aside, doing a High Court application to set aside the search and seizure warrants, and I actually think that in haste made that information available to our members. And now it's sort of a question of why haven't you done that? Why aren't you fighting them? And I think it's important for our leaders to know that Ulrich and his firm take a very unemotional approach to how we handle MTI situations. And that's exactly what we need. We need a level-headed voice of reason that says, if you win this application, what would the effects be? If you lose this application, what will the effects be? What is the probabilities? And we obviously had discussed that, and we said that we will then discuss going ahead with perhaps having the search and seizure warrants challenging them in the High Court. And we subsequently obviously said that we don't think that that is necessarily the good route to go. Do you want to maybe just elaborate on that a little bit? I'm quite happy for us to have that conversation so our leaders know that we're not going to do the High Court application immediately to set aside those search and seizure warrants, and why?
Yes, certainly. Well, there's unfortunately a term in law called the horse is already bolted, and that is definitely the case here. But to create a bit of, or just sketch the background to this as well, we have been in contact with the FSCA, I think since February, March this year, when they first started asking questions. And we have sent them extensive correspondence. Whenever they've asked for something, we've given it to them. We were in the offices of the FSCA where Johan performed a live trade and they saw the actual trade taking place. So, it was a question of them once again being in possession of all of this information and still not being able to figure out how MTI is getting the returns that they are for their clients. And they were convinced that, if they had to get this ex parte application and get the search warrant, that they would find something that would be absolutely damning evidence against MTI. And sorry for them, and I'm not sure if they've realized it yet, but they must have by now. All the information that they have now taken from the laptops and the cell phones and the tablets and whatever they took possession of during the search and seizure execution has already been in their possession and has been sent to them on previous occasions and has been communicated to them and showed to them on numerous occasions throughout our interactions with the FSCA. So, for us to now go to a court and say, well, this is illegal and this and that, and they've infringed upon our rights to privacy and they've infringed upon all of these other rights and all that, a court's just going to say, well, they've not got the information. If you say, you as MTI, that everything is legitimate, then why don't you let them have it and look at it? It's not going to hurt anyone. And if they come out and it comes out that there was no evidence that they obtained through the search and seizure which was damning against MTI, then we will certainly demand a public retraction and apology for the execution of the search and seizure warrants, to set the record straight that it was a frivolous application. It was more of a fishing expedition without them having real knowledge that there was anything untoward on the systems that they took possession of. But to try and set the warrants aside now, unfortunately, is not going to benefit MTI whatsoever, because they are in possession of that information, and if they have been for quite some time, and they had downloaded it immediately the day that the search and seizure warrant was executed. But more than that, we have been open and transparent with them from the outset, and we still advocate that MTI does that. We have nothing to hide. We don't want to operate in a clandestine manner that people wonder what we do. We want them to know what we do, so that we can rather get them on board with us and get them to understand how MTI operates and how its members are doing so well, rather than to try and fight against us around every corner. So in the bigger picture, and when this happened, I spoke to Cherie immediately that morning, that Monday morning. She phoned me as the people arrived there. It was, I think, just before 8. And my immediate words to her was, it's horrible. It's shit. These people come into your house and they infringe your privacy and they take possession of your items. But there's definitely a silver line to this, and that is that hopefully them being in possession of of all this information will open their eyes and will bring them closer to us, so that we can rather work together than them working against us all the time. And I'm still of that belief. So as Cherie pointed out earlier, there's no need to set the warrants aside. Now let them have a look at all the information and we'll take it from there. But I do guarantee you, and I do guarantee everyone else on the call, that if it comes out that there was nothing untoward found, which we believe is going to be the case, then we will definitely be getting a public retraction and apology by the FSCA for these actions.
And thanks. I think all of the leaders can see that when I'm all hysterical and I phone you, I mean, you really do have a great way of putting things into perspective, and that's the value of having Ulrich Roux and Associates back MTI and being contracted to us, is that you do have a big picture view. You understand our vision, you understand the mission of MTI, and you sort of guide us through that process. And I think what Ulrich said that's very important, and Johan is going to be able to share this with you guys as well now, is we don't want to fight the FSCA. We don't want to antagonize them. Are we irritated by what they're doing? Absolutely. Was that search and seizure warrant completely unwarranted and horrible, like Ulrich said? Yes, it is. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about a company that's going to be here for many, many years, then we need to get into a space where they get themselves sorted out. And if there are any regulations in South Africa, which I'm not sure about if that's even going to happen because it's such muddy waters, that we comply with those regulations to continue servicing our members. Do we want to carry on fighting with the FSCA, or do we want to serve our members? Our focus is our members. It's not what Brandon Topham says on some MoneyWeb interview. So Ulrich, I just wanted to thank you. I don't know if there's any closing remarks from you, and then we can move on to our CEO, Johan Steinberg.
No, thank you for having me. And as always, we are here to help and to provide clarity and information when you guys need it. And yeah, keep on fighting the good fight that you are, Cherie.